I think I'm good.
All right. Welcome to the Gentle Art Lifestyle Patreon long form conversation here. I am Joshua Janis, and that is
Nick Lee.
Hey. Today we are talking about the other stuff that we have on our channel. So the thing that's to me, the thing that separates Gentle Art Lifestyle is we're not just jiu-jitsu coaching. We're not jiu-jitsu. We're not just a coaching platform that does life coaching or personal coaching. We're not just a platform that does business culture coaching or team talent retention. We're not just a Wim Hof method channel. We're not just a meditation channel. We have all of those things that go into living the gentle art lifestyle. So today, what we are talking about for you fans of the Patreon is
drum roll. I don't know how to drum roll.
Yeah, I don't know either. Self-care. What was the term that we used?
Self-care routines.
Routines. There it is.
Self-care habits.
What are we talking about again? Okay, this is starting off perfect.
I think so.
So we're going to talk about some of the self-care routines that we do and other things that we have on the channel. And there's other things that we have on the channel that I don't particularly practice, like yoga as an example.
Right.
One of the other coaches does yoga, and we'll be posting those videos. But for us, we're going to talk about what we do.
Yeah, to take care of our mental health and also take care of our physical health, because if you train jiu-jitsu like a lot, your body can start to fall apart if you don't do it properly.
Correct. So why don't you go ahead and pick out of the grab bag of things that you do for your self-care?
For my self-care, first thing I do, because I do train jiu-jitsu a hell of a lot, I plan out...
Hell of a is a word, yeah?
Hell of a.
Hell of a.
One word.
One word, yeah. Got it.
I plan out during my training day how hard I'm going to train that day. That's something that's really important for my self-care routine. I will pick either... Some days will be like 80% days. Some days will be 20% days. Some days will be middle of the road days. And especially if you're coaching, teaching a lot of classes, and you're on the mat all day long. Like some days I teach like 4 classes and I'm at 3 different gyms between kids classes,
right.
Private lessons, adult classes, different gyms, different organizations that I'm coaching for. I'll be at schools. I'll be at all over the place coaching. I can't train at 100% level all day long like that. I'm just gonna be destroyed. And if I tried to do that more than one day in a row, there's no way that I would still be able to like walk at the end of one week. So on my days, I kind of look throughout the week, and well, for my routine specifically, I know like Thursdays are my light roll days, so like my 10-20% days. I know Tuesdays are like my 80% days. Wednesdays are like my 50% days, and Saturdays are typically also 80% days. But what I mean by that is I only exert myself while I'm training like that percentage. And that also allows me to focus on different jiu-jitsu techniques. When I'm, focusing on my 10-20% days, I'm focusing on my defense, my movement. When I'm rolling at my 80% days, I'm focusing on sharpening up submissions or sweeps or takedowns or other high energy things.
Not allowing yourself to get pinned or, yeah.
Right. Not just allowing things to happen for me to work on defense. But that's major for my jiu-jitsu self-care routine, because, that's most of the workouts I do, and I have to manage and intentionally train at certain percentages of my capacity in order to, like I said, not just destroy myself by going balls to the wall every single time I'm on the mats.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I do something similar because I'm not on the mats as much as you, but I am on the mats quite a bit. When I train, I try to think about painless, precise, and playful.
I've heard that before.
Once or twice, right? In the Patreon, actually, part of the free subscription is the half of a instructional that I was doing for BJJ Fanatics on painless, precise, and playful, how to do submissions I have 27 submissions that I have that are how to do in that fashion. My point is that if I look at a role like playful or playfully, it takes my ego of like, oh, I got to win out.
Right.
And something else that you've heard many times, and a lot of my students have heard, things break when they come to tension. So my goal when I'm being playful is to not bring things to tension. I very, very rarely want anything at tension.
Yeah.
And so
that's how we get hurt. Like you said, that's how things break.
That's how things break. So I'm always, not always, but most of the time I'm trying to be playful. When I'm going for things, I'm trying to be precise. So I'm efficient. And this may be the biggest one. I don't need to make submissions hurt. I can control, they can feel the pressure, and I can get a tap or I can let go or whatever the case may be. I do not need to make things hurt. They can be applied in a way that they're like, the person's like, I'm fucked.
Yeah. That's the ultimate win when you don't have to finish the submission. Someone just taps.
They just know.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going for. Now, of course, if I was competing at a high level, there would be times where, okay, if I'm in that competition, I am going to go hard and I'm going to do everything I can to get that tap in that setting. But what we're talking about is self-care and training 5-6 days a week.
Right.
That is not sustainable.
Not at all.
And if that is what you're doing and you're 22, you're getting away with it.
Athleticism definitely plays a huge part in that.
When you're 32, if you've been doing it for 10 years, your body will be broken. But you're not bringing things.
That's true.
You have your own routine. You're not taking everything, trying to break everything. The additional painless piece is if you are kind to somebody else's neck or arm or leg, chances are they're going to be kind to yours as well. And the last thing you want is people ripping on your shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this motherfucker. Yeah.
I'm getting him back.
I don't give a shit if it's not on a job. I'm squeezing his nose. This is a Tuesday. He needs a broken nose today. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. And
yeah.
There's a time and place to practice those types of harder roles, especially if you're competing often. And I do that. I compete basically as much as my schedule allows me to compete. And I do have those competition rounds, but it's like it's planned out. I know within the week if I'm going to have my competition roles that day, my next 2 days are going to be rest, playful, painless jiu-jitsu.
Right. So jiu-jitsu is a big piece. What does jiu-jitsu bring to you? What does jiu-jitsu bring to your life? Why is it part of self-care?
Because it's also what I do to stay physically healthy. No sneeze. Never mind. Yeah. But yeah, jiu-jitsu is what keeps me physically healthy. Before I did jiu-jitsu, I was skateboarding and I was weightlifting on a regular basis. My skateboarding would be like my cardio, my plyometrics, and weightlifting just got me like
jacked.
Yeah, I was jacked, bro. But now it's jiu-jitsu keeps me fit, keeps me moving, gives me my cardiovascular health, and also my physical strength is different than what it was when I was weightlifting. But it does keep me fit and allows me to like eat donuts when I want to eat donuts and not feel bad about it because I'm working out all the time.
So what I'm hearing is that if you like donuts, then you should train jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely, yes. Best base for donut eating is jiu-jitsu training.
Oh, well, if I hadn't started jiu-jitsu, I would start just because of that because I fucking love donuts, man.
Yeah, unlimited donuts when you train jiu-jitsu.
Self-care aside, every once in a while, I think having something like that, like I shouldn't say aside, but even a part of self-care, like, I had a really tough workout. I earned this wonderful Long John.
Speaking of, after every competition, we go get donuts the next morning, and we typically get, my wife and I, by we get donuts the next morning, and we also get peanut butter cup ice cream sundaes, or custard sundaes, if you know what's up in Wisconsin.
Boom. And that's, you earned it. So that's part of self-care too. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
For me, it's a lot of the same, but I'd like to speak quickly on the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's there's twofold. One, when you're on the mat and somebody is trying to, simulate murder on you, it is very difficult to think about the stresses that you have in any given day. You're thinking about that guy's arm coming around your neck.
Yeah.
So it's
Either consciously or subconsciously.
Yes. It's nice to have that reprieve from what you are doing on any given day. Secondly, and I think probably even more importantly, the culture of jiu-jitsu, the friends that I've made at jiu-jitsu, the friends that we have at the dojo, the friends that I've made traveling the world for BJJ Globetrotters, all of those are just priceless. I mean, I could go to Germany and stay on, a dozen people's couches.
We've talked about building trust and building strong relationships. And when you can trust somebody with your body in jiu-jitsu, it's very easy to trust them with a lot of other things in life.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's an absolute great point. When I work with teams, the first thing that I do to build trust, well, I shouldn't say the first thing, because normally I'll do something personally for them. Like if something's bothering them, I'll fix that problem, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But as a team, mutually shared experiences are
That's right.
the thing that bring people together the most. And I don't know anything that's these difficult mutually shared experiences that's more impactful than doing jiu-jitsu, a couple nights a week with, the same people.
Absolutely that, yes.
So from a mental health, from a mental health aspect, wonderful. From a physical aspect, wonderful. So train jiu-jitsu. And if you like how, we train jiu-jitsu, Nick has, below in our Patreon, Nick has a bunch of videos. I have a bunch of videos of, how we attack certain jiu-jitsu problems. And you can guarantee that it's always from that, well, at least for me, that painless, precise, and playful kind of mantra. Same with Nick.
Yeah, my style is more like, it's like flowy,
Yeah.
very flowy, very complimentary.
Yeah. So, okay, that was our very long commercial. And, look, if you like what we do for jiu-jitsu, cool. I appreciate the support on Patreon. Find your home, right? Like for whether it be coaching, go find yourself a coach, right? Whether it be for jiu-jitsu, find yourself a home for jiu-jitsu. Whether it be playing the piano, whether it be playing chess, whether it be just, find your people.
Find your community.
Find your community. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Because even in jiu-jitsu, there's different communities in jiu-jitsu, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And some of them clash. Some of them complement each other. Some of them are the same. And a lot of them are mostly different and unique.
Yeah, and it's all beautiful, right? Like it's all people's personalities, and like you may not like it, or you may think that, don't support them. That's okay, right? But they should have
for your self-care routine.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't support them. But they still have the right to do what they think is best or what they want to do, right?
Yeah. So that's jiu-jitsu for us. What it brings to our self-care routine. I think that's a big part of our gentle art lifestyle is spending time on the mats.
Yes.
For those reasons.
Yes. And it allows us from a coaching perspective. All our coaches do really is coach all day, whether it be jiu-jitsu, whether it be life, whether it be business. That's what makes us really good at what we do is we do it a lot. We put in our 10,000 hours and, that shows. Anyway, digress. Self-care. What's next? What's next on the list?
What's next? So outside of what I do for my physical health on the mats, I would say, and I have to give kudos to my wife for this, but the next part of self-care is nutrition.
Yes. Yes.
Drinking water and eating nutrients. That's it. That's the whole spiel.
That's a good spiel. Well, Brittany, his wife, is thinking about at the current filming of this. So maybe episode 200 that I'm keep referencing.
The elusive 200.
Yeah. Maybe episode 200, she will have an established business in this, and we can look back and be like, oh, remember in episode 2?
Yeah, but she's doing some test runs of what she's calling at the moment food is fuel.
Yes.
And what it is it's nutrition meal prepping for athletes, jiu-jitsu athletes that are trying to bulk up for competition or make weight for competition, or even if you don't compete, just living healthier lives.
And, here's a T-ball for you. How good of a cook is she?
Oh my goodness. She is the best cook I've ever married.
Yeah, perfect.
But she is wonderful. I don't like salad, and she'll make a salad and I'll just eat it. And I'm like, that was okay.
I don't like salad.
Even though I don't like it.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, the food is wonderful. But like I said, I have to give kudos to her because she's always bringing me balanced meals. I do the dishes at least, okay? But she does the meal planning and the recipe planning, and she makes the food. And the meals are always balanced with good macro or micronutrients, which is your protein, your carbs, your veggies, everything that you need to live a balanced, healthy, nutritious life. She's able to make good tasting meals that are packed with nutrients, and that has helped my health tremendously.
So Megan and I are in the second round of this testing, so I am excited for this as well. All right. I will bring up a self-care thing that I do and that we both do, and is, I think, really, really valuable. Again, something that's difficult but valuable. The best way I'll say it is the Wim Hof method.
Yep.
Specifically, I'm talking about the breathing and cold exposure. I have been, in the jiu-jitsu community, I also do Wim Hof method breathing techniques. So we go through the breathing. We do, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that in a second. And then we go through cold exposure.
Yep.
Cold exposure for me, it's kind of cool. Like we had an open mat on Christmas Eve, and I was just like, I feel a little beat up. It's December here in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was like, I'm going to go in the lake. And that's just the easiest cold bath ever, right?
Yeah.
And a freaking cold bath.
Very cold Lake Michigan.
Yes, Lake Michigan in December is a wee bit chilly. Anyway, so that's a piece of both of our self-care regimen. For me, I've been doing cold baths, the Wim Hof method, probably, I don't know. I don't have a start date like belts and jiu-jitsu, but I would say 8 to 9 years, maybe 10, I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark.
I've been doing it probably like 3 years with you.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Now that you think about it, yeah. And it's just, physically it's beneficial for me. And this is going to be anecdotal, right? Like everybody gets different things out of it, but physically, when I'm feeling like, oh, my joints, like, we talked about jiu-jitsu and, I'll still lift something, and like, when I feel that my joints are flaring up, it's just, okay, let's get in that ice bath. When I feel like just things are tight or sore, I get in that ice bath.
Yep.
And, here we have the opportunity to do hot and then cold, sit in the hot tub and then go in the cold. And mentally, it's just can be exhilarating. I mean, both you and I have done, not that I suggest doing Wim Hof breathing and breath holds in the water. I definitely do not suggest it. But in the right conditions and somebody's watching you, you could. And we've both had really interesting experiences where, we've seen, almost like we were tripping, lights and just the feeling of the beauty and energy and man,
euphoric feelings and things that you wouldn't typically experience.
Yes.
You experience while doing meditation and cold exposure together.
Yes. And that is really, really impactful. So I highly suggest that. Of course, it's not for everybody, but, as part of Gentle Art Lifestyle, I will put out different videos on Wim Hof method. Wim Hof, it's not, I should put it out. I am not licensed by the Wim Hof,
organization.
Yes, correct. So it is a knockoff, but I've been doing it for a while and I've been coaching it for a while as well. So you can take that for what it's worth, but there will be videos available here in our Patreon.
Yes. And as far as cold baths, well, first off, you've done a few events where we've done social cold baths with like 50 people doing a cold bath, rotating through which is really cool.
Yes. No pun intended.
Yeah.
They're called Breathe Socials, which you probably will see these as fans of the Patreon here.
Yes. And outside of that, though, one of my favorite things about ice baths is the mental resilience you build by telling yourself to do the hard thing and then being able to do the hard thing and not be a little bitch about it.
Has it ever been like, it's always harder going in? It's not, afterwards, you're never like, oh, that was way harder than I was expecting.
Yeah, you're like, that was hard.
That, you could say that was hard, but like I've never once underestimated. No, once maybe I underestimated the difficult.
Lake.
Yeah, no, actually, that's just ridiculous. The lake in February for our camp is, yeah. Anyway, yeah, but it's almost we almost always suffer more beforehand than in reality.
Yes, because you get through it, you survive.
Most of the time, it's enjoyable.
Yes, and you feel so much better afterwards than the anxiety you might have felt going into it.
But almost every time, I'm just thinking of reasons to bitch out.
Yeah, I had that situation this morning. I was taking a cold shower, and there's a clock on the wall that has the seconds, and I gave myself time before I turned the cold water on, and I was like, at this time, I will turn the cold water on.
Yeah.
And I did it down to the second. I wasn't looking at the clock. I was like, when it reached 00, the next minute, I have to do the cold water.
Yeah.
So I had to hold myself accountable there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, it's so crazy because like, I don't even know, I've done it hundreds, thousands of times or whatever. And it's still not easy. Like I still want to bitch out. And it's so weird because I feel so good after, but.
Yes. And all those other benefits that you see outside of just in that moment are huge.
Yeah. You brought up meditation, whether meditating in the cold water, but also meditating in general. That's another great big piece of self-care. The Wim Hof method offers a way of breathing that I use as a meditative. So, we'll say approximately I'll take 30 big, deep diaphragmatic breaths in, which I'll have videos linked below of how I do that, which isn't right or wrong. It's just information, right? But after those 30 breaths, we have a breath hold. And the piece that I find in that breath hold is just the biggest piece that I find in my life. And I'm not exactly sure why that when I'm holding my breath, for those couple minutes that it's like, oh, this life is beautiful. But man, it is really, really cool. And that's one of the ways that I meditate.
Yeah, I think part of it is just being so present in the moment and feeling every part of your body and just appreciating. And we're full of the superpower of gratitude.
Yes.
And just living full of gratitude in the moment, full of ourselves and our bodies and where we are in the universe, I think is just a really profound feeling that it's hard to replicate in any other way. A lot of times we're just distracted by everything, but when you're all firing on congruent at once, that's something
right.
You can't describe.
That's right. That's a perfect way of putting it. What other ways do you find that you meditate?
I will do some body scan meditation. So I'll do a little bit of breathing, but not hyperoxygenate. I'll just focus on breathing and trying to relax. And then I'll do a body scan from the tip of my head to my toes and back. A lot of times I follow something on my phone like YouTube or whatever that will talk you through a body scan because sometimes you get lost in what you're doing. But I really like body scans because it allows me to feel through my whole body. And like, I imagine that there's like a panel of light that like flows through my body and I can actually feel it when I'm thinking about it when I meditate through my body, which is, I think that's another awesome feeling I get through meditation.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also the piece of focusing on something with all of your energy at once is extremely powerful because if you're able to do that for yourself, then you're able to extrapolate that into other areas of life where you need to focus on something that you're doing.
Congruence. Absolutely.
That's it.
Another way that I like to meditate, and since we do have this, oh no.
Oh,
I just realized that is not going to work. That's okay. It's long enough. My buddy Alan, shout out to Alan, handmade this mala for me with specific intention. One of my favorite ways to meditate is to use the mala and go around and say my mantra over and over and over and over and over. You talked about like getting in that congruent like state. This helps me focus and not think about anything else but that. And my mantra is to live on the frequency of love. I don't just say it, I try to feel it. I can't express via words what that means, but I can tell you whatever it means, like whatever your mantra means to you, try not to just say it, but also feel it.
Live it.
Yes, in that moment, just feel, okay, the main word in there is love for me. How do I feel love? How do I live love in that moment? And so I use this as a tool to say my mantra and to just center myself to what is really important to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
What I did not plan for is
The cord.
the
being
cord,
stuck.
but no, it should be back on. I don't know. We'll find out.
You're good.
Yeah. Perfect. Any other ways that you like to meditate?
I think those are the big ones. I like the Wim Hof breathing for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, just body scans, just focusing on breathing in general.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have? What else do we have for self-care?
I had something on top of my mind, but I forgot it. So
Okay. I know a lot of people out there, and Adrian, one of the other coaches, will be posting videos on yoga. I think yoga is very, very important to a lot of people's health. I love yoga. I just have not committed to doing yoga because I have a lot of other things that I have committed to. So I do practice, and in our Breathe socials, we do yoga, Wim Hof breathing, and cold exposure. So I do think it's very, very important. It's just not something that I practice on the regular that I would feel comfortable, expressing. But of course, because this is Gentle Art Lifestyle, and we feel that it's important, it will be covered.
absolutely. I feel like jujitsu is my yoga.
Yes.
When I'm flow rolling, that's my yoga.
I think one of the things that, and we're going to bring this up a lot in this channel, I'm sure, but you call it a superpower, and I love it. But for self-care, for being congruent, for anything, gratitude is one of the most powerful habits that you can create.
Absolutely.
You want to speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I think gratitude is a superpower because it allows you to pull yourself out of that negative emotion loop that we can often find ourselves in. And if you are able to first, this is where meditation comes in, take a breath and focus on what you're feeling, become aware of it. Secondly, take action and look for something you're grateful for. That's going to pull you out of any emotionally reactive state that you might find yourself in. And that will allow you to start thinking logically or thinking about the next step. And it all comes from gratitude. And we can be grateful about, how nice it is outside, or we can be grateful for, I often say, like, how comfortable we are sitting in this room rather than being outside in the lake in Wisconsin,
Right.
which is not always comfortable.
Yeah.
But we can use that gratitude to, like I said, pull us out of those emotionally heavy states and start using our logical mind. Not saying that using our emotional mind is wrong. There's definitely times for that. But most of the times when we're troubleshooting, our logical mind is going to help us through that.
I'm sure that we are going to do a long form conversation about what he's talking about, logical mind versus emotional mind. Please support us on the Patreon, and that will be one of the things that we do. But that the logical mind isn't better than the emotional mind. The logical mind helps us navigate this reality. This is what I've learned from coaching over the years. Logical mind helps us navigate our reality the way that we view it, but the emotional mind is where we live it.
Yes.
And frankly, that is a very, 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 very important piece that yeah, we'll dive into that at a certain point.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to try to keep these to a half an hour, like I had said, and I think we're coming up on that half an hour kind of mark. Anything that you want to close as far as self-care is concerned?
Yeah, the gentle art lifestyle, right? You got to build a lifestyle of self-care. So my self-care is staying physically healthy, staying mentally healthy. So physically healthy with jiu-jitsu, mentally healthy with jiu-jitsu, meditation, cold exposure, and ultimately being grateful and living a healthy life is all wrapped up together there. I don't know where I was going with that, but
That's perfect.
but those are the things that
Yeah,
are
man.
really important to me.
Yeah.
Self-care.
The cool thing about Nick is I've had a handful of people be like, is he really that happy? Like, you've heard that before, right?
Yeah, they're like, come on.
Yeah.
But
Come on.
when are you not smiling?
This is fake. I'm like,
Please let me know.
I'm like, no, I've worked with him for years now. He's really that happy. And like, it says something about the person asking, right?
That's
But
true.
because of the self-care, because of the work that Nick does on himself, he is able to do that. And I always find that fascinating when people are like, he can't be that happy. Yeah. So can you.
It's possible.
It is possible.
Uh-huh.
All right. On that note, I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day, and see you later.
We'll see you later.